Hello and welcome back to this series of podcasts looking at the development here of this support wheel assembly. So in the last video there we completed the base plate. We're going to move on swiftly here to create the bracket. So without further let's just talk a little bit. It's a little bit more complex part than the last one. It was fairly obvious that this view here on the front face extruded back is going to give me my shape quite quickly. On this one here we maybe have a choice of a couple of options. We could start with the triangular back and build the base onto it. I am going to opt, however, for the base. Given that this object has got this bolted to a table, so I'm just going to start with the base and work my way up around the other bits. It is important to remember, that we're looking for a sketch to capture what we can, but given the complexity of this one, we're not going to get a sketch just as handy as the last one to produce as much of the component. So this one's going to have to be done in a few stages. So let's drag that off to one side. Let's open up a new part model here. Oh, I'm working with two monitors, I keep forgetting. Some of the dialog boxes appear on the other screen. So part and OK. So here we go. Let me just change the background color there to white. Okay, so say we're going to start with the base of it. So that's going to be on the top plane. We're going to open up a sketch on the top plane. Again, I'm looking for opportunities for any symmetry and so on. It's maybe not so evident in this one, so I think what I'll do is I'll keep the origin on the front. You'll see what I mean when I start drawing. So I'm going to start off with a random rectangle like so, and I'll click to deselect it. I'm then going to right click so that I can select the midpoint of this line. I'm going to hold down my shift key and select the origin. This is a shortcut, saves me coming up and doing the drop down window to get to adding a relation. And instead of having to do that, because I hold down the shift key selecting these 2 points, you can see it straight away jumped in, and I can make that coincident. In other words, add that relation nice and handily. So there we go, that's that started. A couple of dimensions to get it defined here. So we're looking at 78 in the overall length, and we're looking at a width of this object at 37 mil. We're also looking at a couple of rads on the corner here, so I can go to my sketch radius tool and do the fillet here in the sketch this time. I'm going to go for 12 millimeters. I'm picking this vertice, say yes to the message, if it pops up, say yes to the message again. Green tick. And the last fillet you clicked is where the dimension is going to show on your drawing here. Once again, just from a style point of view, I'm not sure why it didn't stick before, but I'm going to go back into document properties, change that up to ANSI and say OK to that. I think in that light of that, I'm also going to take that dimension up over there, and I don't like the way that this is intersecting with this one either, so I think I'll delete that and go again and add my 12 over here, so just so I'm not passing through any of the extension lines. I'm also noticing on this here now that I've dragged that up, the grips are down here, so we always want a bit of clearance. Don't want to be overlapping our object lines whenever we're creating these things, so just creating a little bit of clearance there. Okay, so that is the basic shape of that created. Looking at my drawing here, it is a thickness of 10 mils. I can go to my features, extrude, 10's there by default, green tick, in it goes. And I can quickly move to selecting the face with a view to going to my hole wizard here to create the two counter bores. So not hole this time, the first one here, we'll give them my counter bore. Again, I'm working on metric, hex bolt is fine. Size wise, we're giving a call out on the PDF. So I'm going to go to show custom sizing, and I'm going to enter in the values from the drawing into these windows here. So the through-all hole is given as 10 mil. The widest part, the biggest diameter, is given as 15 mil, and the depth down of the counter bore itself is given as 2 mil. So it's more like a spot face actually. They share both the same symbols, counter bores and spot faces. So this is quite shallow, more like a wee spot face, maybe for a washer or something like that. So again, coming down, we want to check the end condition, and it does go through all, as indicated on the drawing there. Again, we don't want any countersinks. There's no tight tolerances, so everything's good there. Straight into positions, and once again these are concentric with the arc, so if I hover I can click as before and place my two counter bores like so. Green tick, and we're done there. Just click on the screen to get rid of the ghost image. Okay, moving on then. I'm going to rotate my model around. I'm going to pick on the back face and I'm going to open up a sketch. Take my cursor above the part and roll it away from me and then roll it back towards me without moving the cursor. It has the effect of moving the object down to the screen to give me a little bit of elbow room to make the sketch that I want next. So straight into the line command here, go into the vertice like so, and we're coming up a vertical height of about 48 there. So if I just come across here now, that will be the center of where my arc is going to be. And the trick with this, if you remember, is if I move away now from where I'm at, the line command stays active, but if I come back over that start point and then treat my cursor like I'm sketching the arc, in other words, just roll it over the top, and you can see it automatically converts into that arc, which makes life nice and handy. So we've got a radius of 20 that we're looking to get. We've got a radius 13, 15, 18, there's 19, that's pretty close, 19.86. So I'm happy enough with that, and then I'll come back down to the vertice here. Doesn't look like a point of tangency there, so if I click that vertice, I can just add the tangent relation in. And I'm also going to then add a relation between this end where the arc is, its center point, and this end, and I'm going to make that horizontal, he says. No, I'm not, sorry, my mistake. My mistake. I'm going to add a relation between the center point and the origin here, and I'm going to make that vertical, is what I'm going to do to centralize it. I can then start to tidy up with the addition of some dimensions. So my radius here was, as I said, 20, and my height up from here to the arc and out to the left hand side is going to be 48. Okay, now has anybody spotted my deliberate mistake? Let's make a deliberate mistake here. We've got a fully defined sketch, it says so down here, and the lines are black. And you might be tricked into going to features to extrude your boss base. I'm going to say no to that because it probably won't come up on your screen. In other words, you might end up with something called a thin extrusion, and that's because my sketch wasn't closed. That little message offered me the opportunity to close it. If you get presented with it, then you could say yes, and that would solve your problems. If you don't get presented with it, well, what have we got to do? We've got to delete that extrusion. Didn't want to accept that, I want to close it. And we want to go back to the sketch. And really what we should have done is you could easily have accepted it to close the sketch and it would have done the same thing. But I've now added my extra line here. Escape, get rid of that. So I click select, do the same thing. I've now got a closed sketch, which means that when I go to my features and extrude, just rotate to check we're going in the right direction here. It's not going to be a thin wall extrusion, it's going to be a solid extrusion here. So we want to go blind this time, and we want to change our direction. This little button to the left here will allow me to change it into the correct direction. And don't be fooled into thinking that this is a 12mm extrusion. It is not. It is a 10mm extrusion, so do read the drawing carefully. It is 12 up here, but that's with the addition of a little boss in this back face, which I'm about to do now. So I'm going to pick up my circle command, hover over the arc to get the center point, like so, drag it out. Even though I would drag it to that, I still need the dimension to make it fully defined, so I might as well go ahead and add that in. So if the radius is 20, the diameter would be 40. So again, just remember to read the drawing appropriately so that you get the correct sizes. So with that created, I can go into features and I go to extrude, and I can add that additional little 2mm. As I say, some people mistake the thickness here because they see 12 for this, but as you can now see, this thickness is 10, but yes, the base up here is 12. Now I did that in a very particular sequence because if I had created the hole on here, which went through and then subsequently added this on, I could essentially be filling the hole straight back in again. So I tend to do the solids first and then add the holes afterwards. So what have we got? This time we do have a tight tolerance hole. It's a diameter 20 H8. So if I click on the surface as before into the hole wizard, and it's just a regular drilled hole. So there we go. We'll reset the custom sizing metric. Let's set it up for drill sizes. Let's look for our 20mm. And there we go, 20mm. The end condition, so all that's fine, but we do have a tolerance. So I'll put it down. What are we like? fit with tolerance. Yes, so my dimensions given is H8 with the tolerance for a 20mm hole as 0.03. So I'm going to go fit with tolerance. I'm also noting the number of decimal places on my drawing so that if needs be I can define the decimal places that I need to put this to. First off, I'm going to define this as a whole with this, and I'm going to select the H8, and it can consult its database then to figure out what that tolerance needs to be. Everything looks good. Almost I missed something on this one, but that looks appropriate. So if I now go for hole positions, again hovering over the arc here, clicking on like so, green tick, and there we go, we've got our diameter 20 hole. Okay, so just clicking on that so that you can see if I can drag the dimension so you can see. Oops, double click it again so you can see we've produced a diameter 20. We added the H8, which in turn brings up the tolerance on this dimension. If I select it here, if I needed 3 decimal places, just to mention that, I can come in and I can select the number of decimal places. Okay, so last wee bit then. Okay, I'll have to speed this next bit up because I can see I'm sitting at 11.5 minutes here. Cut a long story short, I need a plane that's going to dissect this to create the rib. So you can see the right plane here does exactly that. So I'm going to open up a sketch on that right plane, and I'm going to pick up a line. I'm going to make that line coincident with the edge here, and as I come down I can see it's shy of the front of the object like so. And I'm going to add in now the smart dimensions to fit that in. So between here and here, it's given us 20mm. Between here and here, it has given us 35. Oops, I got 0.35. But 35mm. Okay, and that's all I need for a rib is a line. So if I break that around, you can see it's drawn on that right plane there. And I go to my features over here, I'll find my rib command, and I can see the rib width, but however the arrow is pointing away from the object, so I need to flip the material direction. And then need to have a look and see what the width of my rib is, and again, all it's given is 15. So let's change the value here to, let's change the value here to 15, and that'll control the width. And simply for that rib, there's no draft, green tick, job done. Okay. So last week bit then is we do have some 3mm fillets. Fillets there, 3mm. Boom. If I click the edge here, you get a bit of a preview going through. I must have got the face, I did. So be careful that you get the edges. I want a full preview around there. Let's see, can I get around here, around here, around here, around here, around here. And it looks like it goes up and over the top there as well as going here and here. So you can see I've been able to use that fillet command to capture pretty much everything there. So green tick on that. And that is our bracket. So join me in part 3 as we move on and look at the next component, which I believe is the axle. Thank you.